Hello, we're live,
What
buddies.
was
I had a little. I told you earlier today. I don't know why I got some phlegm happening, but I mean, I guess
like your lunch lady voice.
I guess it's good because I've had this sinus headache thing going on, and maybe it's all coming out.
Well,
I know everybody cares about that.
I've been sick, so
you got your annual cold,
I do,
or whatever it is.
And it's crazy because I went ahead for y'all asking because I know first people thought it was immediately no, it's Corona. I went and had a test, but I got no results. And it's been a week since they sent the test.
Little less.
So I've been in quarantine for 10 days.
Quarantine?
So by the time I get any results back, I'm going to be already past quarantine.
Yeah, so it doesn't even matter at this
point. I'm not sick anymore. I feel fine now. Other than the residual cough and congestion, but it's the same crap I get every year.
Hey, look, Hollywood Matrimony is live right now. You should go tell all your friends. Thank you so much for joining us live on Facebook and YouTube. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter. Just go look for Hollywood Matrimony. We'll be there. As always,
I'll be there.
I'll be there. Like, share, comment, tell your friends, do all those things because that helps us get more free stuff. Why do you have the sound on, buddy?
Woman.
Sir?
Don't worry about what I'm doing.
All right. We have a lot of movies to talk about. I'm going to say, come watch our show live.
Exactly.
Now. Actually, I should do it from here because I want to tell you all the movies that we'll be talking about today. It is so many.
We've got a lot of stuff because we
I don't know what we did.
It's kind of went off the rails because there was all kinds of things.
The crazy train.
Some of the stuff we were planning to watch didn't work out because I had like a screening link for one that we were going to talk about. It expired, so I couldn't watch it, and I didn't notice it until it was already the weekend, so I couldn't get a new link. And then now we had to skip that one.
Why are you taking your glasses off?
Because I don't need them right now.
Oh.
Well, I need them from far away, and if I'm looking up close,
is that how that works?
So we didn't watch that, but then we watched some other stuff, and then we found something else. Then we watched random stuff. So my hair is all jacked up. It's like I'm in like chill out clothes. Oh well.
You got so many issues today.
So we're going to do something a little bit different today. We haven't tried since we started streaming like this.
I know. I'm very excited.
One of the films we're going to talk about today is called... Are you ready for all this?
I
didn't know where you were at on the setup over here.
Yes.
We're going to watch this new movie that was on Disney Plus called Safety.
We don't know Safety Dance.
It's not about the safety dance. We didn't know a lot about the film other than...
That would have been cool.
It was a football...
oh, there it is.
Football film about Clemson.
I love this.
And, of course, we had this great idea because one of my friend, your best friend, or one of your best friends...
My BBFF.
Best friend. He's also one of my black belts in our class. Is an alumni of Clemson. And we've been harassing him about his love for Clemson for years. Yeah. It's all about orange and Clemson this and Clemson that, just because we think it's fun. But we thought, hey... If you can watch the movie, we'll try to see if we can have him on the show. We've had people verbally to the show before.
Yeah, we've had people call in.
And he watched the film, and he actually, I believe, was watching the film or was there or something, but he knows about the story.
Yeah.
We didn't.
We don't know anything.
So we're going to try to see if we can bring Sean into the show.
Okay, here we go.
I'm adding him in. Bring it in, Sean.
Hey, how's it going?
Let's see if Sean's actually here or not. We've never tried to bring him.
Okay, hold on.
I'm your first video guest.
You are. This is so exciting.
Do you have your Clemson thing behind you?
Yeah, he's all.
I'm waiting on the YouTube side on mine to see if it pops up properly. See how it looks.
It's gonna pop up properly.
So if you want to introduce, look, there he is, right on the YouTube. He's out of
You're
the
on the Facebook too. You're everywhere. Be nice.
So before we talk about the movie, do you want to tell everybody a little about the Sean?
This is my friend Sean. He's my BBFF.
What does a BFF mean?
My black best friend forever.
Always with the qualifiers.
I know. Sorry. He's my BFF, man. And I've known Sean forever. And he went to Clemson. And so the movie came out. And I'm like, okay, we're going to watch this movie. It better be good.
Or it's my fault, right?
Yeah, it's your fault.
So why don't you tell everybody, before we get talking to Sean about the movie itself, let's talk about his thoughts and his experiences in Clemson and whatever. He may have no information. We may have planned this whole thing and he's got nothing. We'll find out. But why don't you tell everybody what the movie's about?
So this movie is about this football player who gets accepted to Clemson. He's on a football scholarship. we find out he has some family issues, and through all of that, he needs to take care of his younger brother, or they're going to put him in the system. And to avoid that, he secretly sneaks the brother into his dorm to try to take care of him. That doesn't work because, you know, people are going to find out. There's a child
we'll just leave it there because that's
and
kind
then
of where things go from
things happen. So that's what we're talking about.
Now, this is a true story, correct?
It is
or inspired.
Inspired. So
Oh,
I'm sure not everything's probably 100%, but that's where we're at on our story.
So first, let's go to Sean. Let's go to Sean live from Clemson. He's not in Clemson, but we're going to say
I'm at my house. I'm not in
we're
Clemson.
going to say he is because it works for our narrative.
Let's go side by side.
So forget the film itself. I know they shot the film in Clemson for the most part, and I know they shot football scenes during real football games during Clemson games.
Right.
How did it feel as an alumni of being there? The accuracy of that college feel of that school.
I gotta say, there was so many moments where I was watching the movie and I would just go ooh 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 because it was. First of all, it was incredibly accurate. The scenery, they shot almost everything on campus. So when I looked at the film, I was there. Like I could physically put myself in the positions that they were in and go, okay, yeah, this building's over here and that's the library over there. So it was really cool from that perspective. And then the game footage, they actually did film that game footage during an actual game. I wasn't physically at the game, but I was watching the game on television. And they would explain, like, hey, we're going to take a long time out so that the film crew for Disney can get on and film some shots. And so they would tell the crowd, like, hey, make sure you cheer, stuff like that. So, you know, the Clemson fans were all about it.
But before that game started, I guess, they had told y'all they were filming the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, everybody knew that was the Disney movie game.
Now, did y'all know what it was about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ray McElrath's story was pretty well known. Like once it came out, just like in the well, I don't want to say too much, but his story was well known. And so when they said they were going to shoot this movie, like all the Clemson fans were aware that they were going to do this, and Clemson University announced what game they were going to be doing this for, so they wanted to make sure people were there and were wearing the right colors and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was known.
So did it distract you away from watching the game with them kept having to take these timeouts and then?
they didn't do it very often because if you watch the movie, there weren't a whole lot of scenes of game footage. So they basically took, I think, 2 or 3 long timeouts where they could film all the stuff they wanted to film, and that was pretty much it.
A lot of it during halftime.
Yes.
One of the stories I read, and of course I don't know if you would even know this because I don't know if they would have shown it on the TV part of it, but they were saying like the big cheers or whatever, I guess, when the team comes out, they got a bigger boom for the movie version than they did the actual picture.
That's
true. That's true. People were kind of nuts. I can't remember what game they filmed it for, but it wasn't like.
Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony.
Sorry, she's a professional.
I'm going to stop touching things.
So I'm assuming, because I know you graduated like before there were cars or whatnot, but
yeah, many eons ago. Yeah,
I know you weren't at school during all this going on because it was back in I think 2006,
right,
when all this happened. But do you remember was during like the actual games? Did you ever see like that entrance with the little boy and them talking about it? Did they show all that in actual game stuff when that was going on?
I don't recall because you're talking about quite a few years ago. I don't remember that specific thing. And oftentimes, keep in mind, I was already in Texas by then, so I would have been watching that game on television, and they don't always show all of that on TV. So
I just told everybody it's live from Clemson. Now it's made me look like a fool.
Well, it is like Clemson away from Clemson. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we know you wear lots of orange. And I don't know that that's necessarily great with your skin tone, but okay.
Wow.
Thank you.
So let's since you weren't there, you don't have any other information for us. No. So let's.
I'm useless.
I do have a question.
Okay.
What's up with the rock?
So that rock came from West Valley, California, by one of the first coaches at Clemson, and it was basically kind of symbolic. It's a symbolic, I don't know, memento of hard work, fortitude, yada yada yada. So it's been there since the 20s, I want to say.
And it's like mounted, right?
Yeah, and actually in the movie, my wife and I commented because now the rock is completely covered in like plexiglass because people would kind of run up into the field. It stays there all the time. So like right now, if you went to the field, the rock is there, and people were breaking into the field and like trying to hammer off chunks of it and stuff like that. So they now covered. It's like covered now. So
the cannon at Garland High School that used to be there, but South Garland kept stealing it. I mean, I've heard.
Oh, Lord.
Not that you would know firsthand, right?
That's nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. So let's talk about since we have 3 different perspectives today. Yeah. One person had gone to that college. The other 2 people didn't care about that college. So, what did Mrs. Blackley? What did you think of the film itself? Because I know you don't care anything about sports really. But like inspirational
I do like a good inspirational football film. I always have. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was really good. I only cried like 4 times. So, I mean, I was crying all over the place. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good.
I did too. I get a little worried. When Disney makes a movie like this, you get a little worried.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it gets too Disney.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that because Disney has such an eclectic way of filming films that they've made. But, you can get something like, I don't know, Miracle that feels like a big movie. I think that's the hockey one. But then you can also get ones that feels like High School Musical kind of format. Not that I thought that was what he did. But the trailers for this movie kind of had that vibe. But the movie we got was different than what I thought the trailer was.
Yeah, no,
and I really dug it too. It had a little more serious than I expected it to be in a good way.
Yeah.
That had the inspiration thing. And I liked that it was more about not just the playing the football, but the coaches and the people and all the stuff that were involved that would be the more important aspect to that story than the games themselves.
Yeah.
But what about you, Mr. Alumni?
I really liked it a lot, and I was worried early on, and I know not to give away spoilers. I know early on in the film they were setting up 2 of the characters to be kind of oppositional, and I was like, oh boy, here we go. And then they kind of went on a different direction with it. And when that happened, I was like, yeah, that I'm so glad they did that because it was going to turn into a very formulaic type of situation that didn't seem realistic if they kept going down that road.
Yeah, it felt like they were doing that Hollywood thing at first. And I mentioned to her in that gym sequence when it kind of changes, that to me felt like more realistic to anything when it involves teams and veterans versus rookies because they want to know that you care as much as they do before they're willing to trust you. And instead of being the bully Hollywood cliche, it felt more real like that.
I actually clapped after that scene happened because I was like, thank you for not doing what Hollywood almost always does in this situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was weird because again, so much of the story was true that, and I don't know all of the details to know like, oh, that did not happen for sure. But enough of it was true that for me, it was like, yeah, this was really accurate. Like it was really spot on in trying to tell the story of both that player and the story of what Clemson, the football program, is like as a whole. Because that almost feels like Disneyfication, the way that they present Clemson University. It was almost like a gigantic commercial for Clemson. But the honest situation is that that's what it's like. Like that's actually what it's like. They are one big family. They really promote that whole atmosphere of family and unity and oneness. And they don't treat the players like commodities or like, servants. They really do go the extra mile. So seeing that come out of the movie was really awesome.
I like too that, and I'm sure this is part of the real story, but I always like when we get a film like this that you have the inspiration and you have the people and you're dealing with people from horrific situations. In this case, the mother being a drug addict and whatever, but they didn't feel the need to push the race into it because even though it was from the ghetto and the hood and all these different things, it could have easily made those little twists. Because there's even a scene with the thug type criminal guys that they could have turned this into this whole boys in the hood like nonsense that wasn't necessary, that Hollywood likes to do, and pigeonhole people in and then start pushing the race narrative when it's not necessary. Because this story's importance is about like you're saying, the Clemson program and the family unit, but also the team aspect and the brothers relationship, because they had a problem relationship, because that little boy was a little shit. And even though he had his own anger issues, he was irritating me. I'm like, dude, shut up, pay attention, listen. I know you're frustrated.
He was trying.
I know, but I was so irritated. I'm like, you're causing all the problems, but I was so glad that they didn't feel the need to say we gotta push the race agenda on top, because then I think it would have overshadowed the Clemson aspect and the family drama that was the more important part.
Yeah. And if another studio had done this, it may have gone a different way. Because they could have emphasized some of that. Because when they went to that part, when he went back to Atlanta and he found his brother, I was like, okay, here we go. Like now we're gonna set this thing up, and they never, they didn't go back to that. And for me, I was like, yeah, that's accurate. This guy's not gonna go and jeopardize his future, messing with these guys.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
I was worried they would start making the coaches, as they were trying to help him, and then make the players like, I don't need the white man's help, and I don't want to be your pity, because that's how they always like to twist that dialogue for no reason sometimes.
Right.
And in this case, being a real story, then it makes you think that's how it happened, even when it didn't happen that way. And so I like they kept it kind of grounded to more of a real story. And even though it doesn't have that depth impact, it has a completely different depth to it. Mm-hmm. It's actually more relatable to everyone that watches it, not just people from poor communities, anybody that needs help.
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody could watch this and pull a message out of it. They could relate this to
all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, the scene with the mom towards the end.
Oh, that was
again,
so
not
sad.
saying like that was hard to watch, and I knew what was going to happen, but it was just like, but it's relatable. Like it doesn't matter what situation you're in or from. You should have something in your life where you can go, yeah, I get what's happening there. I can feel that in my heart.
That was sad.
There's a small element that it kind of plays into that same thing, and I know I kind of sound like I'm focusing on the race, but
stop it, white man.
But there's an element of the when he's talking to the council or whatever. I just forgot what they're called. I just gave him the council.
NCAA.
Yeah. Thank you. As filmmakers, a lot of times when you have people that say yes and no, you can always tell that it's going to be okay if it's black people, the black people are going to support them. And I love that the one black person on there said no.
It's like,
so it really made it not about race. It said, nope, I'm sorry, this is the program, too bad. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's sad because you're like, no, everybody should say yes. But it made it feel, again, it made it feel like a real thing.
It wasn't too cliche.
Yeah, it wasn't saying, you say yes because you're the black person, which is, how they do all that, so that we got to unify. And but that wasn't the story.
Yeah, it wasn't about that.
And
she wasn't the ally he needed. The allies he needed were behind him.
And he was the most southern one of them all. At the front. He was like, he's the one that looked like he would have been up to some nonsense.
Yeah, I know. It was a little bit
And
scary.
I like that they started him out with, even the way he talked to him, you thought that guy was going to be the problem. Mm-hmm. Ended up being the one that's the biggest supporter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's a good movie. Everybody needs to go watch it. It's on Disney Plus now. Gather your family. Gather your family.
Go see it.
And if you have if you want to go to Clemson, I would tell you to talk to Sean, but he already told you he's not there, so
we should go on a little tour.
An adventure. I'm not going on a tour to Clemson.
I don't know, why not? Just to see where they filmed it.
Now he's just going to walk around his house.
Oh my gosh, we're going to show all this stuff off. Okay, thank you.
In your entire house.
Sorry, we're losing signal.
Well, thank
you.
We're going to move on. We got like 80 movies to talk about.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us and giving us your insight on the school, sir.
All right, take care.
Peace and love.
Thanks for having me.
So check out Safety. It's available now on Disney Plus.
Please go watch it. It's a really good movie. You will like it. Okay, next. Woo, we got so many things to talk about.
What are you talking about? One of mine?
Yeah,
I think I only have one that I saw without you.
This one. Yeah. Oh, good. We're doing so good.
Okay. Well, this one I'll make it quick. So there have been a bunch of movies about Ip Man, Yip Man, whatever you want to call him, who was most well known to masses now as Bruce Lee's instructor. And then some years back, they made a film that became widely regarded as probably one of the greatest martial arts movies made, or the most popular, with Donnie Yen, aptly titled Ip Man. He went on to make 3 sequels, so there's 4 movies in that franchise. So now anytime a movie comes out, people assume it's attached to that. Because there's been a movie called The Grand Master that came out that was about Ip Man. There was another movie, I forgot the name of it. Ip Man something Begins or whatever like that.
We just think they're all related.
But they're not. They're all different iterations of the same iconic figure. So there's this new movie that came out called Ip Man Kung Fu Master.
I see it.
And it stars Danny To.
It's not Donnie Yen.
It's not Donnie Yen.
Okay.
And I just want to point out,
it's not
connected whatsoever. There were people posting about it.
I want to make sure I understand.
Well, no, there were people that posted the trailer as Ip Man 5.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm like,
come on.
And so, of course, immediately the people are blowing up. You can't make an Ip Man 5 without Donnie Yen, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody's like, Ip Man died at the end of Ip Man 4, spoiler. But because
it's been out for a while.
Yeah, but because that was the end of his life. That's the story. This is a different film altogether. I believe it's Danny To. This is the third time he's actually played Ip Man.
Oh, cool.
He played him in this movie Kung Fu League, and he also played him in this other, I don't remember the name of it, other Ip Man movie. Anyway, but those movies aren't connected to this.
I'm assuming it's this Yuhan To, but he goes by.
And he actually looks more like the real Ip Man.
He looks kind of cool
than Donnie Yen does.
Oh,
and he is actually in Ip Man 1 and 2
as
different characters.
Oh, look, he's been in all these different Ip Man movies.
He's a well-known actor. He's a good martial artist. This new movie is kind of, instead of telling the life story of Ip Man, they're taking the character of Ip Man, a section part of his life, and they've kind of created an action movie.
Okay.
So in this case, Ip Man was a police officer at one point.
Oh.
So this takes place during his police officer years.
I see.
And it's basically him fighting against this corruption and drug cartel kind of thing. So instead of trying to tell, like, the Donnie Yen movies were martial arts action films, but we're supposedly telling the history of Ip Man, even though it was highly dramatized. Not all of it was accurate. That's what that story was meant to be, the beginning and then to his death. This movie is just about Ip Man, the police officer, and this crime that he's dealing with. So it's essentially an old school kung fu movie that's not meant to be the story of Ip Man. It's about Ip Man is in this story.
Gotcha.
That makes sense?
Yes,
kinda?
I get it. I understand.
Yeah. And I enjoyed this movie. It
looks cool. This poster's
the poster's badass.
Yeah,
I've asked for a copy of that poster.
Yeah, it's so cool.
But the movie is some of the fights aren't as good as they could be. I think most of its editing are not as fast.
When you slow it down, it's.
But as they move forward, they got better and better and better. It feels very much more like the old kung fu movies I watched in the 70s and 80s than the more modern versions. Although,
I like that.
Where it's like a lot of,
yeah.
It's that kind of slow fight, which it's not slow from like people don't know what they're doing slow. It's more, I want you to make sure you see it on screen.
Everything.
Which is like you go to like Chinese Super Ninjas or the Kid with the Golden Arms or, stuff like that. It's that kind of film. But still trying to capture the essence of the Ip Man persona. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. It's not the Donnie Yen movies. Those stand all on their own. It's not trying to be that. So it's for people to be upset that somebody else made an Ip Man movie is just stupid. Because this is not like they're making another Star Wars movie and it's taken away from the same characters. This is a real person. It's like if somebody made a movie about Elvis. You can make 50 movies about Elvis with different actors and different stories because it's based on one person. It's not based on a fictionalized story that they created and now you've changed the character. Yeah. So this is just a different story element. It's a different story.
Love it.
It's the same thing they have done with I forgot the character's name, but Bruce Lee played him in Chinese Connection. Jet Li played him in Fist of Legend. Donnie Yen played him in the later. So there's been all these different actors played the same character. This is kind of that. But it's just an old school kung fu movie with some great action, some fun, good story that I really enjoyed.
There you go.
So it's cool. Not much to tell about it. It doesn't stand out as one of the greatest, but it is one that I enjoyed. Okay. So Ip Man Kung Fu Master is in theaters, I believe, and on demand now from Magnet Release.
Okay. Now where do we go?
Anywhere you'd like.
Let's talk about this.
All right. Because we have not discussed this movie yet.
This was a little bit different,
So this one, I had seen stuff about this a while back.
Let me make it big so y'all can see it.
And it's a movie called Archenemy, starring Joe Manganiello.
Did I say
right? Manganiello? I think that's how you say his name.
I don't know. We make fun of his name so much. We're like, Joe, Manganiello. Manganiello.
I say it because I always mess it up, so I just started saying like Manicotti and Manganiello.
Manicotti.
I believe it's Manganiello. I believe that's how you say it.
Manganiello.
I think it's Manganiello.
But it has an I-E.
I don't care what it says. I'm not Italian.
It's
so
Italian.
Anyway,
Manganiello.
Stars Joe Manganiello or Mrs. Sofia Vergara.
Yeah, he's married to Sophia. That's all we need to know.
Who also was supposed to be playing Deathstroke.
Manja.
Yes, he was supposed to be playing Deathstroke in the DC universe, and he got to play him at the end of Batman Superman. And he's been called back for the reshoots for Justice League Snyder Cut.
Oh, so cool! That's going to
be
a whole different movie,
isn't it? That it will reinvigorate the original Deathstroke movie.
That is going to be an entirely different movie experience.
It is.
I am excited.
And he was supposed to be making a Deathstroke movie, and he was supposed to be. So before we get into this, real quick side story.
Side note:
when they made Batman Superman into Justice League, there was supposed to be a Batman movie that Ben Affleck was going to direct called The Batman.
Oh,
and Ben Affleck was going to play Batman.
Gotcha.
The main villain for that movie was going to be Deathstroke, which is why Deathstroke showed up in the after credit scene of Justice League or Batman, not Justice League, Batman Superman.
I see.
And he talks about we got to form our own group or whatever. So that movie was on track. Justice League kind of bombed or didn't do what they were hoping it would do. So they changed all the plans. This whole movie he had been putting together, Joe Manganiello, died. Right? So when they kind of assumed that was over, when the Snyder Cut started coming back, they started doing some reshoots to fill in the holes to what he's doing for his actual story. Joe posted pictures of himself as Deathstroke, and he's got this white mohawk now, which is completely different than what he used to look like. And I was reading an article that said that he got called back to do it, and so we were able to take some of the elements that he had been working for years to put in the original movie he was going to do, and now they're hoping that maybe it revigorates it. That he still gets to make the movie because
I think it'd be cool.
Should. Anyway, this movie is
Archenemy. Has nothing to do with any of that
because it is a comic book movie. I don't believe it's based on a comic book, but it's a superhero movie, if you will.
It looks like a comic book when you watch it.
And so the story is about this guy who was supposedly a superhero of some sort, or a warrior, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah,
and
let
he
me
gets
see
thrust
what is
through
his
some
name.
kind of a portal, lands on Earth. And now he's here. Nobody believes him that he's this, and he's like a drunkard, homeless person.
Yeah,
telling everybody that he's this superhero, but nobody believes him.
Yeah, because on this planet he doesn't have the powers he had on his home planet.
Right, but we don't know if that's accurate or not.
Correct.
We don't know. He could just be a crazy person.
Correct.
So then you have the brother and sister who are. The brother's trying to do good. He's trying to be a photographer. He's trying to be a writer.
Yeah.
The sister's working for like some kind of drug lord. She's trying to get her brother in college.
Yeah,
and all their worlds get infused.
They all collide.
And that's where we're at.
Yeah.
So you knew nothing about this movie going
I knew nothing about this except that Joe Manganiello was on it. Joe Manicotti was in it.
That's right.
Sorry, Joe. I love you. I think you're awesome. That's the only thing I knew about it. So it's really interesting when you look at the movie poster here. The movie starts out like on the left with this whole comic book thing. It starts off in a comic book world.
It's like an animated, it's like a digital comic book thing. It's not even full animation. It's
it's
half animation, half pictures.
Because he says, I'm not from another planet, I'm from another dimension.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So.
And they're all using like pinks and maroons and purples.
It's very bright. Like it's very, I like the look at the beginning because there's very darks and very brights.
It made me
there's no in between.
And I think it's from the same producers, but it made me think of this movie Mandy that came out with Nicolas Cage, which is a jacked up movie.
Oh,
it's
Lord,
really
he does weird stuff.
It's a great movie, but it had a lot of those same purples and pinks.
Yes, like neon, like glow in the dark.
Yeah. So anytime he tells his story of his past, of this other dimension or world,
explodes.
It always goes into this comic form. So it's never him running around in like live action. It's always this animated thing. So it keeps you wondering, is it real?
Yeah, because he's telling the story.
Just the poster. See, the poster has the same
vibe I
colors.
remember. So Joe in this movie is called Max Fist. That's a great character name. Yeah, so Max Fist, he's like this crazy drunk person, and then the brother and the story, the brother and the sister, the brother runs across him. He's like, man, I want to hear your story.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want to tell your story because he needs a good story and good photos to get this job at this magazine or whatever. So he starts telling his story, and he's like, yeah, well, in my home world or whatever, like I did this, and he could fly, and he had strength, and all these things happen. So it's interesting because you never really know what's true and what's not throughout the whole movie. So I kept going back and forth, like, this man's a crazy person. Maybe it's true. I want to believe in heroes, but he's like on the drugs or something. So I didn't know what was going on. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah.
I love the way the story is told. It's slow.
Oh gosh, who tooted?
It doesn't matter. It's kind of slow.
Somebody tooted.
It's a
not
slow burn movie at first. I was a little worried at first because it felt...
It had a little slow
Once we
start.
get past that initial kind of cool comic book opening, then it feels kind of slow and it feels kind of amateurish.
Yeah.
With the performances and stuff. Nobody's bad. They just weren't really powerful performances. And then you get to him, and then the tone kind of changes. Because now he's this guy who, he has this big presence, but he looks just like a useless human. You know, it doesn't look like somebody you would think about, but he seems engaging. And so the way they kind of bounce off of each other kind of gives it life that it didn't have earlier.
And I feel like he gives them life. He gives another dimension to the brother and the sister who are kind of stuck in their own thing. I felt real bad for the sister because she is working for like this drug people, just pushing drugs on the street corner. But she's like, no, I can do more. I can be in management. And they're like, whatever.
But she's only doing it because she wants to get her brother out of this.
She's trying to get all this, save money to get him out and send him to college or whatever. And he's like, I don't need to go to college. You know, that whole struggle. And then he has these dreams of being an artist and being a writer and all that. And nothing's really happening until he meets Max Fist.
Yeah. Which
changes his whole outlook and perspective on things. But we don't know if this guy's crazy or not. And then they run into the sister, and the sister's like, why are you hanging out with this crazy dude? But that changes her life too, and I feel like kind of gets her out of her little rut. So everyone's impacted by this man who's potentially just a crazy hobo on the street.
But then it gets into some action and stuff. And even when he shows up and starts kind of doing heroic things, you still don't know.
No, because it's
like almost the end of the movie before you really know what's real and what's not.
Yeah, and you know,
like literally the end of the movie. It's
like he starts like going crazy, and he makes like this cape thing, like what he would have had.
Well, remember, so he has this cloak thing that's like black with like these pink lightning looking bolts on it. But remember, he gets that early in the movie. He goes and digs it out.
But it just looks like an old blankie that somebody drew on, you know. So
but it gives him that superhero vibe.
It's so bizarre.
That makes you start thinking, okay, maybe this is real. But then he still doesn't really fully do anything.
Yeah, because then he like punches a wall and nothing happens. But he's like, no, I can see the dimension. See it?
But like he gets
no.
Like he'll beat up somebody, but then he gets beat up.
Yeah.
He gets shot, or then it's just weird imbalance.
It's so bizarre, y'all.
What's crazy is I really, really like this movie, but it is imbalanced.
I know you would.
It's kind of all over the place.
I thought it was weird.
Well, that's the thing. It's kind of all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It has some issues in regards to how it's telling the story sometimes, because it's so far all over the place at times that it doesn't fully rope you in to the characters and what's going on.
Yeah, because at one point I'm like, man, this is long. What's going to happen? I started to feel it.
But I think the problem is is when you know you're dealing with a superhero-like thing, our mind is now built to a certain way you want to see the superheroes. You see their beginnings, their origins, and then you expect at least a big payoff where they show up in their suit, they use their powers, they win, and that's not what this movie does.
True.
And so it takes that idea of the superhero thing, it throws it on its head in this very strange, yet sort of realistic way that makes it kind of its own thing.
Yeah, and I was going to say, if you're not into comic things or just weird storytelling, this may not be the movie for you.
This movie is very much like the TV show Heroes.
Yes, you have to kind of buy into the idea that it's possible.
Yeah, what is that other movie with Will Smith? It was kind of like that too.
Oh yeah,
and that one had more.
Where he was drunk, but
that one actually had more elements that you knew his powers.
He just hadn't used
Part of the mystery of this movie is not really knowing what the deal is.
Yeah,
and then the end of the movie.
I guess that's part of the charm of it, but for me, it just took a little long in telling the story and getting there.
And it's very an acquired taste.
Yeah, it's weird, y'all.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, but I recognize its issues, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I enjoyed how it all played out.
And the ending of it sets it up to doing more of it, where they could actually have some fun with later aspects of it, depending on what was real and what wasn't.
Yeah.
Because even the end twist is kind of like, what?
Well, and you still don't know if that's real or not, too.
Yeah, yeah. So they really left it.
I'm just like, everybody's on drugs in this movie. It's a little bit trippy. It's a little bit weird, and you really got to stick with it. The other thing that I think was difficult at the beginning was because Joe Magliano or whatever, Max Fist, Maganello, Magliano, he's this drunk hobo guy. At the beginning, his dialogue was hard for me to get into his rhythm.
Okay.
Because
when he's telling the story?
Yeah. And I know you probably couldn't hear it, but his voice is like so deep and it's on a deep pitch.
That has
and he was kind of like drunken out of it that I was like, okay, wait a minute. Because it all starts like in that weird comic book world with him narrating. And it was hard for me to understand, but I got it.
Yeah.
But just one thing to be aware of.
I will say that I thought he was awesome in the movie.
Yeah, he's good in everything.
He's really good, though. But I think
he just has to show up and stand there. He's good.
Lord. I think this shows, though, his ability to carry a superhero type movie.
I agree.
Like he's not somebody I would have said should be Deathstroke. But after seeing him in the original, because I'm a huge Deathstroke fan.
I know.
I'm not even a big fan of Manu Bennett's Deathstroke. He was fine.
Him.
You like him for the same reason.
I like him
Joe,
from Crixus.
But he was good as Deathstroke, and I was really surprised with what's the guy in Titans that played Deathstroke? The Hispanic guy. What's the guy I think from the oh my god. It's from La Bamba that played his brother or his dad or
now that you said it, I don't know.
Look it up.
It's
Get Titans. Well, no, I wouldn't say La Bamba.
La Bamba.
I always want to see Jimmy Smits, but it's not.
It's not Jimmy
Smits. Smits is the other one. Hold on.
Shoot. We lost it, y'all.
I need to know this name or I'm going to go crazy.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about. His brother in La Bamba.
Pretty sure it's him.
Isaiah Morales.
Yes. They cast him as Deathstroke in Titans.
And I didn't think that was going to work, but then I saw it and he looks good.
Awesome. And Joe Manganiello in that cameo at the end of the other one. The big thing with Deathstroke is you can put anybody in the armor.
Yeah, but you got to.
But when you see him out of the armor, he's got to have white hair. He's got to have the white goatee. He's got to have the eye patch.
Not everybody looks good.
And
but he looks,
Manganiello looks good with the white hair and the white stuff.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Morales looked good in it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, you don't expect La Bamba to look good in that, but he does.
Yeah, so anyway, but I hope between a movie like this, which I think he got to stretch, and outside of Deathstroke, he has another superhero movie he's appeared in. Do you know what it is? This is your trivia for today. It's an older movie, and he did not play a superhero. He was an supporting player in the film.
The vampire movie.
No, it was a superhero movie.
Oh.
I'm saying another superhero movie.
Well, what's his name? Is a vampire superhero?
He's not in Blade.
Okay, I don't know then.
He was in Spider-Man.
Oh, he was?
Yes,
cool.
He was Flash Thompson in Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. He's the one that fights Tobey Maguire in the hallway.
Oh, that's cool. No, well, he should have beat up Tobey Maguire. He's ginormous.
Yeah, but anyway.
Check it out.
Archenemy is available now on demand, and I guess limited theatrical release or whatever.
Who knows? All right. Now,
since we're talking about Italians, do you want to go ahead and talk about the other one?
Yeah, let's talk about this.
All right.
Can I do my impression?
You can, but let me set it up first.
Okay, good. Thanks.
So, everyone knows that whether you agree with me or not, most people will. Two of the most masterpiece films of all time would be Godfather 1 and 2. Sadly, Godfather 3, actually Godfather Part 3, is what they're called, was considered the weakness of the trilogy. Despite it being nominated for Best Picture and Academy Awards, it still was never fully...
Fans didn't really embrace that.
And most of that came from Sofia Coppola's performance. They took a lot of that and the missing...
Here, this is my Sophia.
Yeah, don't do that. That's rude. She can't help that. That's her mouth.
No, but that was her trying to look sexy.
Anyway.
But
that's just her mouth in general, too. You gotta be nice.
I'm being nice.
Anyway, so it was that.
She had stank face.
And it was the missing... the lack of Robert Duvall's character come back.
I do meaner things about people who don't do that.
That's her normal face.
She looks good now.
Anyway, so all these years later, the story behind that Godfather Part 3, it was never supposed to be Part 3.
Correct.
It was meant to be what would you call it, an epilogue?
Yes.
To the main story. So you had Godfather 1 and 2 as one story, and then this was kind of meant to be kind of an afterthought film to wrap up the
wrap it up. What happened?
Of Michael Corleone. And because of the popularity, it was like, what, 15, 20 years later when that came out or something like that. And the studio wanted to release Godfather 3, so that already put everybody in their mindset and kind of messed it up.
Yeah.
So anyway, all these years later, sadly, Mario Puzo is already dead, but Francis Ford Coppola got to revisit the film, and the studio allowed him to recut it into essentially what would be classified as a director's cut, and changed the name, but instead of what most people would call changing the name, gave it its original title that it was supposed to be, which is The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone.
Correct.
So if you have your release, and she'll throw the other one up. So you have the original. This is one of the more recent releases of The Godfather 3. So it says Godfather Part 3, and it even says the final chapter.
Yeah.
Which is not what it should have been done. So they re-released it with a whole new box cover kind of thing. It's a definitive new edit. It's restored. It's re-edited, and we're going to talk about that today.
Yes. This is now
Coda.
Mario Puzo's The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone.
Yes, and still not the longest title of film history.
Never.
Now, I went back and rewatched the entire Godfather trilogy.
Which is so good, y'all.
And then watched this new version of this, which I'm really glad I did, especially the last two, to really compare them, because I know you didn't get a chance to do that, so I can tell you the big differences.
Yeah, you told me.
But we did watch the new version of Godfather Coda together.
Yes.
So what is your opinion before seeing this one? Because when we watched this one the first time, the originals first, and those first time you had seen any of them.
Yeah.
So we watched all of them back to back for your first time. So what was your thoughts on The Godfather 3 originally?
They're really good. Those are some good movies, you guys. The only thing I knew about like this whole Mafia Mario Puzo thing was the Last Dawn. This is like blows that out of the water.
Very much.
Because those were made for TV.
Those are TV
That's
movies.
why.
They're great movies, but they're
good,
movies.
but they're it's held back a little. This is such a good series of films, and I like because you see his internal struggle throughout the whole thing, that he doesn't want to become this, but through necessity of the family, it's who he is.
Remember, in the original film, the reason Michael Corleone got involved in the family business, because he was kind of that ex-soldier and was kind of out of the family business kind of thing. But remember, the cops rough him up, and he gets pissed, so he wants to go kill them, and that sucks him into the business, and then he ends up taking over, blah, blah, blah.
And that's why I'm saying we think, it's just this mafia movie, but it's actually about society today, because in a way, it reminds me a little of Waves. It was Waves, right?
Yeah.
Where because of one mistake
changes everything.
Can change everything. Or in this instance, one thing that's like, you know what, I'll do this one thing for the family, but it sucks you in.
Well, and the thing about Godfather 3, or Coda, it was meant to be that last chapter of Michael Corleone's life. It wasn't supposed to be the continuation of his head as a mafia. It was, we've now jumped ahead. If you don't remember the story, he wants to be legit. He wants the whole family to be legit. He wants the whole family to be legit, make money legally.
Get out of the drugs.
Yeah,
and
so when you watch the
whatever.
original film, it starts off with, like, you're seeing in the old beach house. It's kind of flashing back and showing you the death of Fredo, and it's showing this whole church coronation of Michael Corleone getting this medal thing from the Catholic Church, and all this stuff is happening, and you're just like, what is going on? And then it goes to this party, and during this party is when you start getting introduced on. So there's this whole long intro
this whole thing
that's a big deal, but it drags on.
Yeah.
And it goes to the party, and then all of a sudden they're getting something from the Catholic Church about donations, and you don't understand really why any of this is happening. So that was always a problem with Godfather 3 initially. And then you have all the sub-stories of and they tried to make it look like the original two films, and so it looked old, even though it was a more modern film at the time. And I think one of its big issues when it came out, too, it came out the same year as Goodfellas.
No.
And Goodfellas is one of the other ones that's classified
it's really
one of the top mobster movies. This movie really wasn't competing against that. But so with the new one, the new version, Coda, the new cut, do you think I know it changes the movie, but which do you think was a better version of the film, the original cut or the new cut?
Coda, for sure.
And why?
Because it actually explains what the heck is going on.
So the new one starts completely different.
There's an actual beginning before we get to that whole party scene with the metal and all that.
Every part of that beginning of the original movie is gone. It's not later in the movie, it's gone.
It's just different.
And it's cut to, there's a meeting in the film where he goes and talks to one of the cardinals about their donations.
Let's make a little deal.
Making the deal, which is usually later in the film. That is now the opening of the film, which leads into the party that explains why he's getting all this stuff. He's getting
the medal for making this donation.
So it makes more sense.
It was a deal.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, okay. And that caught us off guard because we're like, wait, this is not the same movie.
Yeah, yeah.
But it actually makes so much sense.
So
I get it now.
There's only two major scene changes. The opening and the ending. Mm-hmm. Everything else in the film is technically the same with some stuff shuffled around a little bit. The biggest change to the movie is the visual look. It's brighter. It's a little more modern looking. It feels like of the time period it's taking place instead of trying to look
I feel like originally there were all the stuff in the house was very dark and all the stuff outside was very gray.
Well, and I think it was trying to match the 70s or whatever when they made the original.
No, now it's brighter. There's a lot more richer tone, and it's interesting. Like all the stuff in the house, it's a richer tone, but it's kind of like a richer red.
The new one, I think, is a better film. It doesn't fix the Sofia Coppola stuff.
She's fine.
She's not as bad as I think as everybody gives her credit for. I don't know why people.
She's fine.
But she is stiff. But she's also wasn't an actress at the time.
She was a teenager.
Well, she was also brought in. Like there was a lot of flack for Coppola because they thought it was like this narcissistic cast your daughter in this main role. And what actually happened was Winona Ryder was cast in the role.
She was a replacement.
She left and she came to the first day of filming and then left.
Do we know why?
Well, they said that she had a mental breakdown.
Oh.
And Johnny Depp was with her because they were at the time.
Oh, they were together.
He's the one that called and told them that she's not going to be able to do the film. So last minute is when they cast Sofia Coppola. Even Andy Garcia recently said people give her a bad deal.
She did fine. I mean, I think she was just young and inexperienced, and I don't think she had the personal experience to be able to play kind of like the seductress role. So some of her facial features, like I said, come off a little bit like stank face. But
well, we talked about it. She has stank face. She just looks she just looks. She's become like a brilliant filmmaker.
That's what I'm saying. But she doesn't look like that at all now.
Well, it's not even visually. She's brilliant behind the scenes. She just wasn't in the new one.
I never even thought that was an issue.
What's funny though is when I posted the initial stories about this coming out, the first statements I got from everybody are they cutting Sofia Coppola out of the movie? Are they changing her performance? It's the only way you can fix this movie. It's like everything was about that.
She's not even in it that much.
It's amazing.
She is,
but it's amazing how much this story changes from these little elements and the change of the ending, because this becomes, even though Andy Garcia's character is about his rise, really, is it really shows the torture and the stuff that Michael Corleone is going through, and the way it ends now, it's a whole different ideal behind his suffering. It's no longer the end of his life per se. It's an extension of his suffering for everything that he's done.
Everything he's done, he's now kind of paying.
Because we all know how the original Godfather movie ends. With I'm going to spoil it because if you haven't seen it by now, I'm sorry.
When
Sofia Coppola character is killed in the big hit.
1990. If you haven't seen it by now, sorry.
That scene to me is one of the most powerful scenes in the series. His response.
By the way, she did a good job in that scene. So everybody calm. All the haters calm down.
But Pacino's scene when he has a breakdown, and I feel it's a breakdown of everything that's happened before led up to that moment. And the other thing that's cut is at the original finale. I'm not going to tell you how they changed it, but the original finale was. They showed flashbacks of everything that happened through all the Godfather movies, right? And then it cuts to an old Michael Corleone. He puts his glasses on. It cuts away, and then he falls out of the chair dead. That was the original thing. In this new one, I'm not going to tell you how they changed that. They got rid of a lot of those cuts. It's just him and her. It's just him. The dancing, and it's showing more of their relationship.
Which I think is more powerful.
Because all his actions led up to that.
Yeah.
That is the thing that made him hurt the most from his reaction. Everything he did caused that. And it became the most powerful thing, and it's something that he has to live with. And the way they twisted the ending made that more powerful, in my opinion. I think this new cut is worth checking out. I think it's way better.
It's good.
And I think it took a movie that I thought still was already good. It wasn't the first two, but it was still a good movie. And I think it made it almost to the greatness of the first two.
It's a good movie.
By the new cut.
I would watch all
and it's shorter. Like, so the original one, I believe, is 170 minutes. The new one is 157 minutes. So
it's more impactful.
It is. It gets to the point. So if you're a Godfather fan, but you were hesitant, oh, it's just another cash grab. This is a different movie.
It's a different one.
It's the same movie, but a lot of changes. So the Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, you should check it out if you're a fan.
There you go.
Available now on the Blu-ray.
And it's good. I liked it.
Moving on.
All right, next movie. We have so many to talk about. We can go here. We can go here.
What else do we have?
And then we have that.
Let's save that one for
I agree. Let's go here and we'll go.
This is an older movie. Tell us about it.
Okay, so we'd been wanting to watch this for a while, and I don't know what happened, but we missed it. So we watched the movie Hala.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I didn't even know about this movie.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I knew about it.
That was you yelling at she kept yelling Hala at me, so I'd go, Hala!
Hala!
I didn't know she was talking about a movie.
Yeah, we're talking about the movie Hala. And Hala is the little girl's name. So that's what you need to know. Yeah, the movie came out probably last. Well,
why is this playing? Sorry.
Hala.
Things are starting to play on my phone.
Came out probably last year, in the last year.
I believe.
In the last year.
Starring Gwendolyn.
Viswanathan.
She was the star of the Broken Hearts Gallery most recently.
She's Broken Hearts Gallery. She was also in that Blockers movie. She's super cool.
She was in Bad Education. She was a little reporter girl.
Yes. Anyway. I like this girl. Anyway, it's about Hala. She's from a nice conservative little Muslim family. It's her and her mom and her dad. And it's basically her coming of age story. She meets this boy that she really likes. And of course, she's not.
He's white.
He's this white kid, but she's not allowed to be around boys or date boys because they're already deciding they're going to arrange a good marriage for her, find her a nice Muslim man to marry. Great. But it's about her story, but also she starts finding out that her parents' life is not as perfect as it may seem. Yeah. And that really starts to just emotionally, I think,
because she's already struggling with, does she want to be the person they want her to be?
Correct.
Or does she want to be something more?
Right. And I think part of it, which is interesting, is seeing that her mom is a little bit subservient to the dad. Her mom didn't get to go to school. Her mom, in her mind, is a little bit uneducated, and all she does is stay home and cook and take care of her dad.
I found the mom's arc to be the most surprising and the most powerful of all.
By the way, yes,
because it did the stereotypical, like you're saying, of that, and
she just takes care of her husband, and
because of elements.
Hala doesn't get that. She doesn't understand.
So it makes the mom the bad guy most of the movie.
Correct.
Yeah.
But then there's this whole thing that happens.
There's a twist that makes you realize, holy crap, and you feel bad for how you thought about her.
Because you realize, the mom is the one. Yeah. The mom is the main thing in this whole story, and you don't even realize.
And all the way up to from the beginning to that point, she has this powerful moment that you need to see. We're not going to.
This is a really good movie. You need to watch.
She feels like not only like the asshole of the movie. Because she's always like, Hala and her dad have this nice close relationship.
Yeah, they're so close. They talk about school.
The dad seems more open, like, you got to do your thing and you got to do this.
Yeah, she's like, let Hala do whatever.
Mom's always like, no, you do this. She just seems angry and resentful. And
yes.
And she seems like she doesn't even like her daughter, kind of.
Right. I feel like she seemed a little bit jealous that she was given so much liberty to kind of go to school and go to college.
Yeah, and then as things
hanging
unfold,
out with friends.
You start seeing, you start second guessing everything you thought because you realize why her mom is the way she is.
Mm-hmm.
And like most people in families, things aren't always as they seem.
Mm-mm.
And there's different elements that unfold that are not only important to Hala's growth, but her mom's growth.
Yes.
To be able to be the person that she wants to be. And some of that comes out through different family because there's like a great dinner scene where another Indian family,
they're
Pakistani
Pakistani. They're
over.
trying to make a match between their son and Hala.
Yeah, and they come over and like she's having to be stand there kind of on display, which annoyed me right off the bat.
Well, that's how sometimes the arrangements happen,
like it.
Babe.
And
people still do that.
I know. Okay. I don't like it.
Because we're American, we don't.
No, I don't mind. I'm not against the arranged marriage idea because I understand the culture, but I still don't like you treating anybody like their property.
Well, I know, because they're over here talking about, oh, well, our son's doing this and he's going to this school and he's doing this. I don't understand. And then they're trying to show off their child.
I know as a white American, I don't understand that ideal.
Yeah.
But to me, it still feels like a bit of slavery kind of mentality, even though I know that's not what it is. And I think it might. You know what I mean? I don't want to say that because we have an Indian friend that's had arranged marriage, and I know they're happy.
But I think, that's the struggle because Hala is feeling that because she lives in this country.
She's an American.
She's American.
Yeah.
But she understands. I think that's where the disconnect is because Hala can't understand why her mother would do that and why her mother would do that to her.
Yeah, and I understand and I completely respect the people that live that lifestyle. And
that's what you chose.
And even though I don't understand, I respect their cultures and I respect their beliefs and those kind of things. But I still don't think it's necessary. Like we've seen other movies, like even though they were like comedies and stuff, or like the one where the guy or the girl was trying to find someone, they were bringing him pictures of all the girls and he was having all the dates. Like at least
that was the other one with
didn't feel like property. That felt like at least, hey, meet all these people and go out. And
this one did felt like
she's standing in the corner of the room and they're like, look, here's my son, here's your daughter. And but it's on both. He's doing the same thing.
They're doing
he's
the same
standing
thing
over there
to the
too.
son.
It's not just a woman thing. It's like, but they're still treating him more importantly because he's a man.
And then they're like, Hala, clean the table, put the dishes away. Because they want to show that she can be a good wife.
And that's one scene that I really liked from the other family, because even the other guy, the other family were like, told him, go help her clean up. What's your problem? You know, because the mom in the other family was already
very liberal.
She had that degree, but you could see that they fought because she talked about, because she was a doctor and this, and even her husband was trying to, oh, you always talk about that like you're this. And so then Hala's dad is trying to put her down.
And that lady's like,
well, your degree isn't this.
Yeah, it's in psychiatry. Anybody could do that.
Yeah, and it's like, why?
Like, really?
What is the point of this? This entire meal was like just people either trying to show that they're better than the other person,
it was, or
put them down. And I'm like,
crazy.
I don't understand this dynamic. Why would any of these people want to be around each other?
It doesn't matter, babe. It's about making the match.
But I was like, but what really? What is important about the match if none of these people like each other? Because they're not going to get along later either. So the match doesn't serve a purpose unless you're like, I understand it if it's like this super rich, powerful family and it's some people that want to become a rich, powerful family.
No.
That at least makes sense.
I don't know.
Two people that are groups that are just
we would have to ask.
After.
I think you have to find someone that's equal or
we should have had our other person on call in for this.
Yeah, we should have called our other friend to tell us about this.
We should have had her call in.
Sorry.
Maybe we'll revisit this.
We'll revisit. But it's a really good movie and it's about her finding her way. It's about the mom, and it's even the story of the dad. It's actually really interesting as well. And it's an interesting dynamic between all three of them, and things suddenly take a massive change.
Yeah.
And
it's got a little bit of that too little too late stuff.
Yeah.
Which I like that part because it became not cliched.
Yeah.
Where just because somebody brings something to you to remind you of your connection as a childhood, a lot of times they're like, oh, maybe I should forgive them. In this case, like, yeah, I don't need that. Too bad. You know.
Yeah.
Too little, too late.
It's interesting. And I feel like in the thing that I connected with at the end is Hala still respects her upbringing. She absolutely respects her religion and she's doing her prayers and she's doing everything, but she finds a way to do it her way.
Yeah.
And that's what I really connected with at the end is because I'm the same. I'm so conservative Christian, but I do it in a different way than all the people that post all your memes and vote for that. Like I have my own thoughts about it and I don't have any qualms about what if I'm wrong or whatever. I get it. I'm following it to the letter of the Bible.
See, and I'm kind of the opposite where I have a firm belief in God and Christianity and whatever, and I grew up Baptist or whatever. But I also have a lot of openness.
Yeah,
I'm open about like I have my reasoning why I think other religions exist,
Correct, and that's okay.
And I have beliefs in them being the same for different reasons. And
Yeah.
I don't question, like, like there's a lot of the Christian people that are like, if you're not Christian, you're going to hell. And I don't agree with that. And we're not going to get into that discussion.
I don't think we have the right to say that,
but
honestly.
I also don't believe that it's my job.
We're supposed to be about love.
Yeah, my job is not to judge these people for whatever they want to do with themselves. I don't always agree with everybody's thoughts and opinions, but at the same time, it's their life. And if it doesn't affect me, then it's not my business.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, this was a really good, surprising movie.
Yeah.
So
I like her anyway. She's really
I do.
good.
I like anything she does. She's good people.
What did we watch this on? Did we watch this on Apple?
It's on Apple TV. It's available.
Yeah,
it's free on Apple TV as long as you have your Apple TV subscription.
So it's free as long as you pay for it.
Well, it's like everything else. It's on Netflix, whatever. It's a streaming. It's on Apple TV. Check it out. It's good. This girl is good in everything, y'all.
Yeah.
She's just.
And if
good.
you haven't seen Broken Hearts Gallery, you should check it out.
You should check that out. And Blockers, which is random. So random.
A smaller part of Blockers.
All right, let's go here.
This is another one we have not talked about.
No.
So I think we both had a different opinion of what this movie was going to be. I thought it was going to be a horror film.
I thought it was going to be a slasher film. Me too.
So this next movie is called The Smiley Face Killers.
Mm.
I was excited to watch it. One, I thought it was a slasher flick.
Me too.
Two, it has Crispin Glover, who I love.
Oh, he's so creepy.
I love Crispin Glover. I think he can be creepy, but I think he's just a great actor, and he's a unique, nuanced type character actor.
Yeah.
But he's always kind of himself, but he's always something that stands out.
Yes.
And in this case, the picture of him on the box, he had kind of this demented-looking face, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be it.
Creepy.
So the movie is inspired by true events based on these things, what they call the Smiley Face Killers, which were all these guys kept showing up drowned.
Yes, college students,
guys, men where bodies would show up on beaches or whatever, drowned, and nearby there was always like a smiley face spray painted.
Correct.
So it became kind of an urban legend, if you will. People thought it was the same serial killer that was killing all these people, but it went across this whole coastline.
Yeah, the whole coast.
It wasn't just in like one area. So this movie's inspired by that. It's not the real story.
Smiley face murder theory is what it's called.
So it's based on that idea, and then they created their own story for it.
Correct.
So we went into it thinking it was, and I have
slasher.
I have not wrote the review yet for it. So what?
I thought it was a slasher movie.
No, I have not wrote a review for it yet, but I will have it tonight.
Just post.
But yeah, we thought it was gonna be a slasher flick. I was excited. I almost watched it without her. I was bad. I was waiting so we could watch it together. So it is not that.
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I think once I realized it wasn't that, I was like, oh, okay, we're getting the story of somebody who runs into the smiley face killers. I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. It just threw me because it wasn't what I thought, but it was okay.
I was
Were you disappointed?
I was in the bored category.
It was okay.
A part of it, like you said, is once the movie gets started, I realized we were not watching the slasher film pretty much right away.
Yeah. You
kind of realize from the vibe, okay, this is not the vibe we're getting. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to stick with it. So then when it said inspired by a true story while we're watching it, of course I went to look to see, because I wanted to figure out how much was actually true that we were watching it. So I paused it and figured it out a little bit. Then we go back to watching it. I never really got sucked into it through the whole thing. I didn't hate it.
I think you actually fell asleep at one point.
I did fall asleep a couple of times. I'm also been medicated in my defense.
He's been taking lots of NyQuil.
But I didn't fall asleep out of boredom. I dozed off because I got in my comfy spot.
Yeah.
And
there's one comfy spot on the couch where he snuggles in and he's out.
It is not on purpose. I just sit there sometimes, just sit, and inevitably I will fall asleep at almost everything in that spot. If I move down 2 sections of the couch, I stay awake. It makes no sense.
Well,
I think she's been drugging the couch. You're putting some kind of stuff on the couch that makes you fall asleep.
I liked it okay.
Yeah, I didn't dislike it.
I don't think I would watch it over and over.
Watch it over again, but
it's interesting because at least it gives us possibly a perspective on why certain people were chosen by the killers, I guess.
Yeah.
But it really focuses in on the story of this one particular guy.
I think that's where it loses me because it's not
too focused.
It's not that. Is I think because of its title, the visuals for the box art, the vibe, what you expect, I think that goes against it. I think if it had designed it to make it look more like it's going to be a thriller.
Like we see just the killers after this one kid.
Yeah, like if they showed maybe a body on the beach and a rock with the smiley face. and that was the box art, then that would make me think, okay, this is some kind of a murder mystery.
Yeah, because when you look at the art, it looks like
a slasher
film.
You know, and the fact that it's not a slasher flick, it has some bloody killing in it.
Yeah.
And it has some gore, and it has some of those elements, but they come so far into the movie, you spend a lot of time having to hear the story of these people that are showing up. It's like if I was watching a movie about the Zodiac Killer instead of a slasher flick.
Correct.
It's exactly what it is.
Correct.
But the Zodiac Killer movies that came out, you know that's what you're walking into because
just know that's what you're walking into.
Well, I know, but yeah, if you walk into that, I think you have a different perspective. So I think it was already lost points in my mind.
Yeah.
Watching it, so I couldn't see it from the perspective of what they wanted me to see it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's been so long trying to build up this character who has his own personal problems. I think they were trying to convince you who the killers was going to be, but it wasn't the individual you thought was going to be involved.
Correct.
They end up being a victim of some sort. And
correct.
So I think that's what they were trying to do.
It's just
you're dealing with a lot of mental problems with one character.
Yeah, one guy has some mental health issues.
So I think they were trying to make you think that he
might be involved somehow. It's just a little. It takes a little long to get there. It's a little slow. It's a little too focused on just this one kid, and we don't really know why. And then suddenly there's killers. It feels a little sudden.
I think the second half, the third act, technically, is that's how long it takes before we really get anything. Third act seems like the movie that we thought we were going to get.
Yes, finally.
But there's 2 acts prior to that we've struggled to get there.
Yeah.
And there are some great shots. There's a cool shot where a guy's walking up. He's at the beach. He's walking past one of those, the bathrooms at the beach. And you see a guy waiting to smack him with a hammer.
Yes. Now, see, that
creepy,
was cool.
But then he goes back. So then those shots were cool.
That's what I was expecting throughout the whole thing. And it's few and far between.
Yeah.
But I guess
it's not horrible.
It's not horrible. It's an okay movie. It's interesting. It actually makes me want to go see an actual documentary
and
or
I think
a movie
a documentary
about this. Okay, because now I went and researched it because it made me intrigued. Like, okay, well, what's the actual story? Because this was like fine. And
this film's not too far from the actual story, just when you get into the killers themselves, since we don't know anything about who did it.
No, we don't. And if it's still going on, now I need to know. So since the 90s, it's like 45-ish.
Is it still happening? I thought it stopped.
I don't know. I need to go find out. But since 1990, it says 45 college-age deaths in 11 states.
And they're all men, so that's a weird thing.
They're all white, athletic men.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they went to a beach party or whatever and got drunk, and so that's why people think, oh, they just drowned. But they're mysterious circumstances.
And it's an interesting twist of what they went with for the film.
Yeah.
I think if you go into it not expecting a slasher flick, then you'll enjoy it more.
Oh, here we go.
So,
Smiley Face Killers, The Hunt for Justice. That's the documentary we need to watch.
But I think, honestly, just go into it and know that it's more of a murder mystery with slasher elements.
Yes.
This very much reminds me of Happy Death Day, where I thought it was going to be a slasher heavy. And even though it is, it brought the more laugh. Once I knew that, I enjoyed the second one more.
Yeah.
And I probably can enjoy the first one more now.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Check out Smiley Face Killers. Where can we watch this?
I believe it's on Blu-ray and DVD this week. Okay. If it's not already. I don't remember. I think it came out already this week.
Okay. Last week. Well, there you go. All right. We're running long, but we have so many movies.
Got one more, right?
Yeah, we got one more movie to talk about.
This one more is the one I'm most excited to talk about.
I agree.
So, if you don't know, the most successful independent film of all time is a little film that some of you might not have heard of called Crocodile Dundee.
So crazy.
So that movie, as most know, especially those of us that grew up with that movie, we know the nuances, we know the jokes, we know the movie itself. It spawned 2 sequels, Crocodile Dundee 2 and Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Which I don't think you've seen the last one, or did you even
I feel like I have, but I don't remember.
Most people try to forget about Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles.
Who cares? It's
so anyway, but then after that, Paul Hogan, the star of Crocodile Dundee, that was essentially his first big film, even though it wasn't a big film. It was a small film.
Yeah.
And he did a few films, Lightning Jack, I think Almost an Angel, a couple of different films that I actually became a fan and followed a lot of his films. And then he kind of all of a sudden disappeared.
Yeah.
And so now we jump all ahead. I think it was last year or the year before, there was this whole campaign of everybody thought there was a new Crocodile Dundee movie coming out. that I don't know if you remember. It was a Super Bowl commercial that was promoting tourism in Australia. And it was Danny McBride, and it was like Son of Dundee.
Oh, yeah.
And there was even discussion at one point about them doing a remake or a sequel to Crocodile Dundee with Chris Hemsworth as the son of Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
Well, when they made that tourism thing, which we didn't know was a tourism thing at the time, Danny McBride started showing up dressed as Crocodile Dundee. They promoted like it was going to be this new Crocodile Dundee movie. Everybody got excited. Then we found out it was a tourist.
It's just tourist Australia.
It was like a $7 million production that showed pretty much every actor that was Australian showed up, and they made it. And then Paul Hogan showed up at the very end of it as Crocodile Dundee, come to Australia kind of thing. Because of that commercial, it spawned this new film that we're going to talk about, which I was very excited when I found out.
So fun, y'all.
Called The Very Excellent Mr. Dundee. Now, you have to know, first of all, this is not a sequel to Crocodile Dundee. It's a loose, it's a film where Paul Hogan plays a semi-fictionalized version of himself.
He plays Paul Hogan.
Dealing
with Crocodile Dundee people.
Yeah,
like fans.
And people wanting to make another Crocodile Dundee movie. And what's funny is a lot of the stories are fictionalized versions of real things that have happened to him.
Up here.
What's up, guys? You're starting to wake up now?
Yeah, she's waking.
Come on in. Come
on up. Sit down.
So The Very Excellent Mr. Dundee, you didn't know about this movie, right?
No, and when you told me, I got so excited. I think you were surprised about how excited I was.
We've never discussed Crocodile Dundee.
I love those movies. They are so over the top and crazy, but I like it.
What's up, kid?
Hey, Sabine. Okay, she's being good. We're gonna have to hurry and wrap it up though. She gets hyped.
So what did you think of this movie? Because the movie has a plethora of special guest stars, some running gags. Paul Hogan plays himself, who he's 81
he's
now?
Like 80.
He was 80-something years old. So
man,
and he's pretty much Paul Hogan.
He is.
You know, and so it's very self-deprecating. It's very
funny.
It pokes fun at the idea of the celebrity, of the tabloids, of the film industry, kind of a little bit of everything, all wrapped around the basis of Crocodile Dundee. Yeah. And what did you think of the film?
It is hilarious. It is like the funniest movie. It is so fun. I like him. He's actually very funny.
He is. And he's done a bunch of other movies that were funny as well. They just didn't have the same impact that Crocodile Dundee had.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't think I've seen any of his other stuff. I think that's
I like Lightning Jack. It's him and Cuba Gooding Jr. and it's like a Western.
I'll have to check it out. But yeah, all I know about him is Crocodile Dundee. These are so funny. And it pulls out some of the famous one-liners and the gags. You get Olivia Newton-John. I mean, what more do you want?
There's running gags of every time he tries to do something nice or helpful.
It goes wrong.
It goes horribly wrong. And like the opening of the film, which is in the trailer, I'm going to just say it's kind of a spoiler, but it's not really the message story.
Do I need to put up the spoiler
alert? You don't
alert?
need to say spoiler.
I'm going to.
But it's him and his friend are hiking on this trail, and they come across this group of people, and there's a snake. And they're like, "Oh, Crocodile Dundee's here. Can you help?" And he's like, "I'm not that." And when he throws the snake, it hits a lady in the face, and it becomes the whole deal. I read an interview that interview that really happened. He was walking, and these two ladies came around a corner running, came up to him, and goes, "Oh my God, thank God you're here." And he's like, "What?" They're like, "Crocodile Dundee, we need you. There's a snake on the path." And he's like, "I'm Paul Hogan." And he's like, people think he's really Crocodile Dundee. And he's not. And so that's been an ongoing issue that he's dealt with.
This movie is so hilarious. It is way too funny.
The best part of this whole movie to me is John Cleese has a running gag. If you don't know John Cleese, he's part of Monty Python. It's hilarious. He has a running gag as an Uber driver, but he's John Cleese.
Yes.
So he's now an Uber driver, but it's just this constant running thing. It's not really Uber, but something like that. So funny. But the movie is you get these cameos like Chevy Chase and Wayne Knight, and they're all side stories.
Yeah, they're not even the main thing.
Story.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
It is. It's a great movie. It's fun. It's kind of has the same independent vibe, which is what I liked about that. And it was a movie that Paul Hogan said in an interview that he felt like he should do because they came to him. He said they've been asking for years to do sequels and different versions, and he goes, they all suck.
And they talk about that. That happens in the movie where they're like, "We have an idea, Son of Dundee," but then they kept pulling out these crazy names, and it's so funny, and everything he says is taken out of context.
And the Very Excellent Mr. Dundee title actually plays into something in the movie that's even funnier.
Yeah.
So it's really like, even if you're not a fan of Crocodile Dundee, if you're not, then you have bigger issues.
What
in your
happened
life.
to you?
But you don't have to have seen those movies to see this, but
it helps.
Yeah, if you know at least the first one, the jokes makes more sense on some elements. If you at least know exists and kind of what it is, and you know the joke of that's not a knife, this is a knife.
This is knife.
Then that works too. And so it's just a fun,
so
feels like
good.
an independent.
So fun.
He said one of the main reasons he did the movie is because he thought it would be fun to work with all these people that they got in. And it feels like they just made phone calls. Hey, you want to be in this?
It's like, hey, could you do like a 2-minute thing in this movie?
Yeah, there's a lot of cameos that are literally blink and you miss it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people seemed excited just because they wanted to be in a movie with Paul Hogan.
I agree. They love him. He seems really nice.
So it's a great
I like
movie.
the guy that's the photographer guy. He's that funny guy who shows up and stuff.
It's ridiculous.
Whatever his name is. I don't know what his name is.
Oh, leave off him.
But he's funny. Let me see.
Is that him right there with the donk?
It might be Donk. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know.
What was that?
It's the dog.
Oh. Anyway, but yeah, check it out. It's I believe it's on demand and in limited release theaters.
It's so good, y'all.
It's very excellent, Mr. Dundee. It was such
And
a
it's
fun movie.
excellent.
It is. It's fun, and it's fun. The whole family can watch.
Yes, I
You know,
agree.
it's-
It's really
It
good.
doesn't. I don't think it has even hardly any language or anything. I think it's
No,
all
it
just-
doesn't, because he's not like that.
Yeah. Did you say he's not into that?
He's not like
You
that.
don't think so?
Uh-uh.
Anyway, it's a fun movie. You should check it out.
All right, there you go.
It was one of my most exciting movies to watch this week.
I was excited about
Just to get
it.
to see. I didn't even know if the movie was good because I thought the movie was going to
Y'all,
suck.
it
to
was
be honest.
funny.
After seeing the trailer, I was like, this movie's going to blow, but I can't wait to see Paul Hogan again.
Yeah.
But it
he's
was
so
really so
cute.
much fun.
All right, there you go.
Anyway, so what we got for next week, or is it my turn first? Oh, it's contest first. isn't it?
Contest.
I always forget what we're doing.
I know. I'm trying to help you.
I know, that's why you're here. All right, so we have a few of the contests. We have a couple of new ones. We got a couple that are going to end this week, and we got a couple that are going to start this week. So first and foremost, the two big ones that are going to end this week are the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit
Thank
4Ks that we're
goodness.
giving away. These are going to be ending this week, so make sure you get in your last minute just copies of these 4K sets. They are set up as separate contests because I know some people don't like one or the other. So that way you don't have to force yourself to have to get them both. But you can enter custom contests with both. And I'm not opposed to picking one winner for two. I'm just saying. So don't forget, get in that one. We also have Buddy Games, which we talked about, I guess, I think it was last week.
Yeah.
We got copies of that to give away.
Hey, no.
We got copies of Blade on 4K. The original. What is happening over there?
This dog is being a pain.
The
Stop.
original Blade on 4K. We got copies of this to give away. And the newest contest that we have going right now,
What's new?
which is one of the biggest movies of the year, is one of the first movies that reopened in theaters big, even though it didn't do what we would have done otherwise.
That's
It
okay.
is Christopher Nolan's Tenet on 4K.
Nice.
So we got copies of Tenet. So if you didn't get a chance to check it out in theaters, first of all, you're missing out. The movie is awesome. But we got copies of this to give away. And we got two new ones going to be hitting, the contest thing this week. They are not up yet, so don't go looking for them yet. One is this movie called The Opening Act, which stars Jimmy O. Yang, Alex Moffat, Cedric the Entertainer, and a whole bunch of other comedians. It's a stand-up comedy movie. It's not a stand-up special. It's a movie about stand-up comedians.
Yeah.
And we have a movie that I'm excited to check out that I've not seen yet called The Wolf of Snow Hollow that appears to be some kind of a werewolf movie. It looks like it's also one of the last films of Robert Forster before he passed away.
Oh,
But
that's
we'll
too
have
bad.
copies of that. I'm assuming it's got a werewolf related because there's a big werewolf on the cover of it. So these two will be going up this week. So be on the lookout.
Okay, cool.
We got some more.
Okay, coming out on the line or in theaters. So Tuesday, there's actually some stuff coming out. Video Demand and Digital, Breaking Surface. No idea what that's about, but it happens. These people are in Norwegian cruise line and something bad happens. You can already know if they're on a cruise, something bad's going to happen. Then this I'm looking forward to. It's a documentary called The Last Blockbuster.
But that one
Literally
that's still
about
there?
the one last blockbuster that still exists. It's coming out on the line. Friday, we have the movie Fatale with Michael Ealy and Hilary Swank. So check that out. Coming on video on demand, Greenland with Gerard Butler.
That's the one with the asteroids and stuff. Remember?
Yes, and Marina Karen.
That was one that was supposed. That's another one that was supposed to hit theaters, and then the
Yeah.
COVID got it. So it's going to be streaming on. What is it?
It just says premium video on
Okay, I thought it
demand,
was
so you'll
like-
have to pay for
So
it.
yeah, it's online.
It's a purchase,
streamer one.
but I wanted to see. That's the one where they're in the kid. They grab the kid and get in the
asteroids
truck
are
and
hitting
try
and
to
stuff.
run, and
Yeah.
then they're like, "We need to find someplace underground." Okay. Also, video demand and digital. Sister of the Groom with Alicia Silverstone. I'm in. Anything with Alicia Silverstone, I'm there. Coming on Netflix. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. This is interesting because it's about Ma Rainey, who was a singer she was considered the mother of blues singing. And then, of course, people stole her music.
This is also Chadwick Boseman's final film.
Yes. So you're going to have to watch this. It's Viola Davis, Chadwick Boseman, a lot of amazing people.
He did do some voice work, but this is his last, I believe, on-screen film.
Yeah. So you're going to want to see this. It's going to be so important. And I think historically it's important that we know the history of music. And I think a lot of people, you just think somebody recorded it, but you don't realize the history behind it and that the music might have been taken or whatever. Anyways,
The comeback trail looks fun.
That's a limited release. It may be near you. Tommy Lee
There is a
Jones,
new
Robert
movie
De
coming
Niro,
that's not on
Morgan
your
Freeman.
list, but it's because they moved its date.
Okay.
Monster Hunter is hitting this Friday, which is the new movie with Mila Jovovich, Tony Jaa. It's based on a video game, and it's called Paul W.S. Anderson, her husband, that they made the Resident Evil movies together. This is their new franchise, so it's coming out Friday in theaters. It was supposed to come out Christmas Day. It got bumped to earlier, so it's coming out this Friday on the 18th in theaters. So we're going to be seeing that in theaters on Friday.
Oh, yes. I got a ticket notification for that. Someone bought me a ticket. Thanks, babe. Anyway, so that's kind of it right now. There's some things in limited release, but it may not be near you. So
careful, though.
There'll be more next week because we're heading into
her butt just made an appearance on our show.
We're heading into the Christmas weekend.
Yep.
So
then coming out on the Blu-ray and the DVD this weekend in the 4K. Tenet, of course, is coming out this week.
Loved it.
The movie Infidel with what is his name? Jim Caviezel.
Yes, love him.
And somebody else. We'll be talking about that next week because we have a screener for that one. A movie called Chick Fight, starring Malin Ackerman, Bella Thorne, and Alec Baldwin.
You know, I like Bella Thorne. I know she's kind of controversial with some stuff,
but she's a good actress. Yeah. A movie that I really want to see, and I didn't even know it was coming out, so I'm hoping I can find it. Called Waiting for the Barbarians, starring. Hold on, so I can tell you everybody. Mark Rylance, who I really like.
Can you make your screen bigger?
Not this little things. I probably could. I can actually do this. I forgot. Mark Rylance, Robert Pattinson, and Johnny Depp.
Oh, that's an interesting.
Because there's Johnny Depp over here. That's Mark Rylance. So it's kind of a war movie kind of thing. And I've seen the trailer for it, so I'm looking forward to that. Now that we've
gotten Robert Pattinson away from vampires, he's
a really good actor. He's everything he's done past Harry Potter and Twilight.
Yeah,
has been really good.
Yeah,
I think he's going to actually be a really good Batman. I hate saying that. I really was against his casting.
I'd rather be positive about it than be negative.
I stand ever since Michael Keaton proved everybody wrong.
Yeah.
Anytime they cast anybody, I'll voice my displeasure, but I give them open-minded.
Yeah, we're gonna.
And I think after seeing him in the first trailer, I'm like, I'm in. He's going to be badass. He's going to work. I think it's going to be great. Also, there's a lot of movies getting like a new release. So like Tremors is getting a 2-disc limited edition release.
You and my other friend are going to watch that.
What are you laughing about? Tremors
y'all like
awesome.
that. I know you think so.
No, I don't think so. It's a fact, man.
Dog,
The Expanse
don't mess
season
with the
4
camera.
is coming out. Spirited Away and Castle in the Sky are both getting new steelbook edition releases.
I want to watch those.
And then there's a few other random things coming out. I don't think I brought them in here, so I don't know if I'll tell you. But like the opening act that we're going to have tonight, that's going to be coming out. I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, cool.
There's some other random stuff, but I think those are the big ones.
Well, that's it then. Thank you so much for watching our show this week. We appreciate you. We love you. We do. Thank you for watching us live on YouTube at Hollywood Matrimony, Facebook at Hollywood Matrimony. You can find us on the Twitter at Hollywood Matrimony, and Instagram, I think, at the Hollywood Matter, MATR, because Instagram always is weird about your characters. Or is that Twitter? I don't know.
Twitter's the one that has limited characters.
Oh, so is it that?
Instagram is the one that won't let you post links for some weird reason.
That's so weird.
Or if they do, I don't know how to do it.
Just search Hollywood Matrimony. You'll find us. Please go check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. As always, don't forget to hit the contest button because that's where all the free stuff is. Please like, share, subscribe, thumbs up. Tell all your friends because the more people that we get going to the website and watching the show, the more free stuff the studio send us, and then that's how we fill the contest page, and you get free things.
We donate no money on this website. The only income that we get from them is getting the free stuff to give you, the free stuff to review,
Yeah.
and getting to see stuff early. That's about it.
That's it.
So, and that's fine with us. We're not looking to monetize anything. I don't
No.
like putting ads on stuff. That's why my websites have never had ads. We do it because we enjoy doing it. That's why we also don't care if we've got billions of followers, as long as we have one or two
We
people
want
that
you.
enjoy it. That's all that matters. So don't forget, we'll be back for another episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live next Sunday. We're still working on some of our other shows, bringing them back with the holidays. This week we were hoping to do some of this, or this last week, but then I got sick, so it's kind of hard to do one of our
Well, then we
shows.
keep having to watch the grandbaby.
Yeah,
She's very
little
inconvenient.
chubby cheek baby comes over and hangs
She's
out,
so
which we love. So,
inconvenient.
but hopefully with the new year, we have some new stuff coming out. We have a surprise trip, so we may be posting some live fun videos right after Christmas that y'all can check out on our YouTube channel. But we will, like I said, be back live for our other show next Sunday, and then hopefully we can get our other shows kicked off. The new year, the plan is to bring back TV Tuesdays, Martial Arts
Yes.
Mondays, and our brand new show that we're not going to talk about just yet. But once we get it all in order, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a short one, so you can watch it pretty quick any time of the day, unlike this one that goes on for 12 hours.
There you go. Thank you so much for
Peace and love.
watching. Peace be with you. Wear your mask.